How's everybody doing? It is Derek, and you are watching and listening to the Fragrant Mind Podcast. Today we have some really special guests, and these are some people that I've been watching for quite a while, and have had an awesome opportunity to reach out to them and say, "Hey, you guys want to come on for the show?" And they were game, and we've been talking for a few days now, getting ready for this, and I'm super excited to have them on. Of course, you know from the title already, it is Mr. and Mrs. Sniff, and they go by Jamie and Noah on TikTok, and they have amassed a very large following in a pretty short period of time. And they're always seemingly streaming live, everything from talking fragrances to talking about their budding perfume business and kind of his tinkering with different scents and experimenting and kind of getting the audience involved. And it's really been super exciting to watch them sort of become this almost power couple in the fragrance, content realm. We don't really have a lot of those. And it's super exciting to see them sort of grow and become something kind of cool that we don't have. They definitely fill a particular niche in this sort of, social media fragrance influencer game. So that's kind of what we're doing today. And I'm super excited. We're also going to talk about indie fragrances today, which I don't think we've touched upon yet on the podcast. I've touched a little bit on it on my social media. If you go to AFSOM on YouTube or AFSOM on TikTok, I've touched on quite a bit of indie as well as the designer and niche realm as well as colognes as well. But yeah, so we're going to talk about indie fragrances today, and I'm super excited about that. And if you guys haven't had a chance, definitely head over to Spotify, a Fragrant Mind Podcast, as well as YouTube, a Fragrant Mind Podcast, or you can subscribe to the main channel, AFSOM, where we stream live every time we do an episode, as well as on Facebook and Instagram. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get into the intro, and then we're going to bring on our guests. So you guys ready? Let's go.
Welcome to a Fragrant Mind Podcast, the ultimate fraghead show, featuring Fragrant Derek.
Look good, feel good, smell good.
All right, so we are back once again. You are listening to the Fragrant Mind Podcast, and we've got some really special guests today. So once again, as I mentioned, this is a super amazing, I like to call them a power couple. They are into social media, sort of budding perfumers, super intense enthusiasts in the fragrance realm. And they have an amazing, especially, they have an amazing sort of take on perfumery and the craft and the just everything that goes into it. And it's really cool to watch them. They're super engaging, and they make some really interesting content that is super unique for TikTok, and hopefully I'm going to start to see them expand into YouTube and other things. So let's go ahead and bring them on. Welcome, Jamie and Noah.
Hi, Derek.
How are you guys
Hello.
doing?
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming on. I was super excited when you guys agreed to come on because, I reach out to a lot of people on social media. Some get back to me. Some sort of leave me on red. But luckily, we've been getting a lot of traction recently, and people have been watching and getting attention, and it's been bringing out some really cool people, and thankfully, you guys maybe got to see an episode or something, and
Good.
got to see what we do, and I'm just so happy that you're here.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. Now, I've seen some of your stuff where you talk about like your past sort of passions and interests, and it seems like you guys are the type of people that sort of find something that you're passionate or interested about and latch onto it and get super hyped on it. You know what I mean? Like you get super involved and hyper focused. So how did that sort of transform into fragrances for you guys?
Well,
You go ahead.
that was my doing, Derek.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I
funny.
kind of suspected that, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, until you phrased it that way, I hadn't really thought about the fact that we both have been hyper into things really, really deeply, and that's been like very tightly aligned,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, functional neurology, hypnosis, those are the things we do, formally for work in our
Mm.
clinic. Psychology, spirituality, dream analysis, like, and
Mm.
we've always been like lockstep on those interests.
Yeah.
And then I fell down the rabbit hole of fragrance, and for a while there, I was on my own.
Yeah. You'd like to take side quests that I don't take.
Yeah. I'm the king of the side quests, Derek.
Yeah.
And so I just really got into it about 2 years ago.
Mm.
And it started as, one of these classic, ADHD hyperfixations,
Mm.
which I didn't think of it that way or really have the words for it at the time, but that's in retrospect, that's certainly what it was.
Mm.
And I think I'm speaking for you, but my sense of it was you just had a moment of like, well, this doesn't seem to be ending, so I better either get on board or
I don't even know.
or I'm never going to hang out with my husband again.
Conscious about it. It's
No.
like, oh, this is kind of cool. Let me play along too.
Yeah.
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 That's super awesome. So I have kind of like I don't want to get too personal, but I'm just curious. I hear you. I could tell. So I'm a little curious as a married man, and with my relationship, my wife is sort of like a support from afar. So I guess this is more aimed at you, Jamie. How do you feel your relationship has changed with this whole new venture of social media and also, supporting Noah's, passion? And it seems like you are kind of like his driver in all of this. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of got this thing in mind, and you've been sort of supporting him. How has that affected your relationship? Has it improved things? Do you think you're closer now due to this? I'm just curious. How is that working for you guys?
That's such an interesting question.
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear how you answer this. Paying attention.
Well, you point out this idea that I'm the driver of it. And my perception of it, of course, is that he's the driver and I'm just holding on for dear life and supporting him as best I can. But I think that you're probably accurate.
Agreed.
In your assessment of it.
Yeah.
So the reason I say driver, and I'm going to be honest with you, like I said, Noah definitely seems like, he's the passion and all of that. But I've seen a lot of your sort of like, solo videos, where you're kind of like going through his bottles and talking about the ones that you love and things like that. So like when I mean driver, I mean like you are, his support system, you know what I mean? It just seems that way. Like he's got this passion, this interest, and you're sort of moving things along. And that's why I say like you guys are a power couple, because I think individually, I don't know if you guys would be as successful as you are. I'm not saying you wouldn't be, but I think, together you guys have really, you just balance each other so well, like, so it's just, I think it's an interesting dynamic. And I think the curious thing, I think a lot of people want to know really is like, how has that, redirected your marriage and your relationship and all that?
Yeah. Well, we have a really great relationship and we always have. We're just very well suited to each other. So I don't know that anything really has changed other than now we're interacting with other people and letting people see what we're like on a normal everyday basis. We've joked about this for years, like that our life is kind of funny. It would make a funny reality show. And that one day we should just put cameras up and just see what happens. And so now we kind of are doing that.
But Derek, you're spot on. She's the heart and soul of all of this, of the perfume operation, frankly, of our relationship. And we joke that if she didn't like poke me and prompt me, I would just sit on the couch and stare straight ahead and never speak.
Yeah.
I would
It's
just
hard to believe because he's such a yapper on this channel.
yeah. People think I'm an extrovert. I'm not. I'm a serious introvert, and left to my own devices, I would just sit and not speak, and I have no need to be in the world or interact with anybody, and just give me a science fiction book or a couple hours of meditation, and I'm good.
Yeah.
And so she's this sort of, to be a little bit, I don't know, over the top about it. She's definitely my muse, not just when it comes to the TikTok side of things and social media, but anything interesting that happens in my life is because she prompts it.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. I think a lot of that has to go back to like the old like cavemen days where like men were the hunters and women were the gatherers, in the sense that, I think men, if left to their own devices, would essentially just, never leave the cave and,
right.
Kind of eat whatever, like eat the rats and bugs that would come in, but, with a strong woman aside you, you're out, hunting buffalo and
Sure.
elephants and whatever else you can get your hands on, you know what I mean? So like, I guess in that sense, we tend to, we may have passions or whatever, but I think a lot of us would just rest on our laurels if it wasn't for someone kind of driving things along and saying, hey, why don't we do something with this? And also I think inherently we sort of have this desire to always like be pleasing our significant other and impressing them and wanting their sort of like approval and things. And so it pushes us to work harder and perform better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 Don't act like you're not impressed. I mean, our relationship is a little bit different.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of need or desire to impress one another or prove ourselves. We're both very authentic in our relationship. We're authentically ourselves. And we are very, very just strongly aligned on our attitudes towards life and on what we want from life and what we want in a relationship and what we want now with Perfume. But again, I would have just existed in a vacuum in my robe, tinkering and never doing anything with it other than just exploring it in my own mind and playing with it.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, people like that. You need to sell it. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, you need to sell it. Okay, we're going to put the camera on you. Whoa. Like, I'm in my robe. Shouldn't I? Because everybody else is always like done up and looking good and they're very nicely produced. And I'm like, I'm in a robe and it's covered in dog hair. She's like, well, that's who you are. I'm like, okay. And, that was the first real video that we did. That
went viral. Yeah.
And it got like 60,000 views. And I was like, why are 60,000 people interested in watching me wander around my perfume station in my robe? But I think it has to do with the authenticity of it. We don't have any production value. We don't have a plan. Yeah. We just turn the camera on and then live our life the way that we would be doing it with the camera off anyway.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit. I think a lot of it has to do with the way you fill out that robe. If it were me wearing a robe, I probably would have gotten negative views. You know what I mean?
Bless you, Derek.
I would have been demonetized and probably like,
yeah.
Anyway,
the perfume making doesn't flesh itself out, then there's
make a robe company.
There's a whole different sort of channel we'll figure out.
I'm waiting for the robe PR to start.
The robe PR would be amazing. I'd be as excited about robe PR as I am about smells.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely think especially on social media, the content is the passion and the fragrance and all of that. But I think the icing on the cake is just, how connected you guys are. And it's inspiring. And it's also a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? It's definitely a departure from the fast-paced, fast-talking, that kind of, seller style content. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean, it is for sure. It's very rare for us to do a video where we're not rushing to finish before the 10-minute cutoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. And the thing is, like, that's why I feel like you guys would be so well suited for YouTube.
Others have
Yeah.
said that too, and we
Oh
need to.
man, like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, really, because honestly, like, I think honestly, one of the big reasons why you guys are so successful is because of your lives. Like, a lot of people really enjoy your lives, being able to hang out with you guys for like, as long as you're going live. And
Yeah.
I think a YouTube scenario would give you guys an opportunity to, post a 10, 20, 30-minute video. And I feel like people would watch, and you'd probably get a ton of watch hours just because you guys are just so engaging just to watch you tinker around, talk, whatever, it's relaxing, almost ASMR-esque, you know what I
Mm,
mean?
Mm,
Where
yeah.
people aren't feeling like they're being sold to, or because I mean,
right.
essentially, you guys aren't there to promote fragrances. You're just there to share your passion with people. And
Yeah.
once again, that's just so unique,
Right.
Yeah. We do
So
love to talk about our friends though.
About
yeah,
our
Our
friends.
perfumer friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, that's one of the things that really inspires us and motivates us is yes, fragrance we love, but also connections with people and people's stories, and
yeah,
collectors like yourself or other social
right,
media, figures like you or the perfumers,
yeah,
of these smaller indie brands that actually have the time and inclination to engage with their customers. And it's, you
right,
know, for me, it's like, why would I wear a no name fragrance from a big corporation when I can wear something that I maybe love just as much, but I also know the story behind it. I know the
yeah,
person connected to it. It's like a little piece of that person's life and personality
mm,
that I'm participating in and sharing. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll do that any day of the week over, the kind of no name. Not that I'm opposed. I mean, I got the whole big shelf down here of designer stuff that I love.
yeah,
But yeah, all things being equal, we love the community side of it. We love connecting with people, getting to know people, and spreading the word about people doing amazing work that haven't kind of had their big breakthrough yet.
Mm.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that I gotta be honest, that's the reason I'm doing this podcast, is the collaborative effort that it brings. And I felt like there was a sort of hole in this community, that we didn't have that sort of collaborative thing. We were all sort of individually doing it and supporting each other in the background. Um, but there wasn't like a hub for all of
Yeah,
us to kind of convene and be able to tell our stories and share things collectively. And that was really the driving force behind a Fragrant Mind podcast. Um and hopefully we can continue that effort. And I think it's so important to not only support fellow creators, but to support the artists, the creatives, the ones bringing us these amazing scents and giving them a voice. I
yeah,
know Roja Dove was super, he was super, you know a big driver in making perfumers sort of like rock stars and who they are, because I think for a long time they were always sort of in the background, and they didn't have a voice. No one even knew who they were.
sure,
And even most perfumers, they don't make a ton of money. They work for these massive brands, and they're pretty much making what any regular professional would make. A lot of them
right,
aren't millionaires or anything like that, and they're literally making these companies billions of dollars. And I think bringing them to the forefront, giving them a voice, allows them to be air, be fairly compensated for what they do. It's sort of like that old story of Vincent van Gogh, who had never sold a painting in his life and died in poverty. These geniuses just, they never get a voice.
yeah. And
So
there's it's a good example. And in today's world, there's just no excuse for it, right? Because
yeah,
these people can be found. There's mechanisms for sharing, social media, and it's really cool to see some of these people kind of, get their get their moment, and kind of get over that hump from anonymity into, indie stardom, whatever that might look like for them,
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, like, I know a lot of people love to hear, influencers, people like us talk about fragrances, like the way we experience them. But I think more importantly, it's way more engaging for me anyway, to hear directly from the perfumer's mouth, the story behind the scent and what goes into it. And also it makes it, when you wear it, you feel more engaged and you feel more a
Absolutely.
part of that process,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we're getting kind of deep here. Let's talk indie fragrances, huh?
What
Now
we
that we're
do
talking
there.
about this, let's talk some indie scents, huh?
Yeah.
So we talked about discussing indie houses, and if anyone doesn't know, there's different, like, sort of, I don't know, you call them like categories of fragrance, right? So you've got like the clones, like what you'd imagine, like the Middle Eastern stuff, like your Latafas and all that, and then you've got your designers, of course, which are essentially um, fragrances from designer houses, meaning like a house that may do other things like make clothes or fashion, beauty, etc. And then you've got niche, which are sort of your major perfume houses where they only really make perfume, and they may do candles, stuff like that, but that's pretty much solely what they do is the fragrance. But they're doing it on a massive level. They've got contracts with multiple perfumers, and they're pushing out a lot of releases, and houses like Creed and Parfums de Marly, things like that. And then you've got the indies, which is essentially a lot of times just these perfumers doing like what Noah does, which is tinker in your house, create a fragrance, and do small batch releases to friends, family, and hopefully get it out to the people that relate to what they're doing. They're not necessarily marketing to the masses; they're marketing to like-minded individuals that want to experience their art. And so that's really what indie is. And I really wanted to talk about indie today, just because I know you guys are so passionate about it, and I'm also passionate about it. Unfortunately, I don't own as many indies as I'd like. I'd love to be able to explore more. But finances don't always give me that option. But I do have quite a few, and I picked out 5 here, and I know you guys picked out some as well. I don't think we'll get to all of them, but hopefully we can talk about a few. So why don't you guys go ahead and show me the first indie that you guys chose to highlight?
What do you want to choose? Well, we'll do this one because the perfumer is in the chat. So this is
Nice.
this is Perito Moreno.
Mm.
And true to form, with respect to what we were discussing earlier,
Mm.
I'm not even going to talk about the fragrance first. I'm going to talk about. That's just a disaster waiting to happen. That's going to make you really nervous, isn't it? The perfumer Nitish Dixit. He had a previous brand, Dixit and Zach. He lives in India, and that brand caught on in the kind of small, high-end naturals and artisanal community. The same folks who are into kind of, Orige Ladore and brands like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went their separate ways, and he started this brand, which is a more, I don't know, user-friendly brand, more user-friendly profiles. And he and I connected and just kind of started chatting and developed this connection and this friendship that led to a business arrangement. And here we are halfway across the world, and we're doing, we're moving, 5 figures worth of merchandise per shipment back and forth, and we've never had so much as a handshake, a contract. And it is so rare to find somebody who is so genuine and kind and has his heart in the right spot, not just with respect to being a businessman, but with what he wants perfume to be for people and the price point that he is adamant about offering it at. These are perfumes that are high-end work that could, he could be charging twice as much. But that's not what it's about for him. So again, for us, it's as much about the relationships as anything. So when I spray these on or talk to people about them, or when we sell them and distribute them across North America, it's something that I can do so authentically because I know the man behind him. I know what he stands for. I know what the brand stands for. All of which is worthless if the perfume sucks. Fortunately, fortunately, these are amazing perfumes. So we're highlighting this one because it's spring. It's spring, and this is going to be the one for summer. The one that got the hype last year and coming into this year was Pool Boy, and I was part of building up the hype for that. Nobody had really been talking about it in the forums or anything. This is at that level, at least in terms of the quality of the scent, the performance. It is, and others will back me up here who've purchased. It's the longest lasting, most beast mode, if that's your thing, citrus fragrance that I've ever smelled. And everything that he does has this beautiful, just slightly kind of exotic, unique, Eastern Indian twist to it, which I have no idea how he does it. Years of training and expertise. He's actually a chemical engineer by training. So he's really detailed in terms of what's happening in these fragrances at a molecular level. So this is going to be one of my go-tos this summer. So it's Perito Moreno Citrus and Yuzu. Beautiful, beautiful, silky smooth, crisp, clean, kind of white laundry musk, fresh citrus scent. Really, really beautiful stuff.
That sounds really nice. Yeah. So it's funny. I think we're synced somehow. Not because I chose that particular one, but one that I did pick out, and specifically because we're getting into spring. And this is actually a house that I partner with called Tempus Vitae. And I know you guys have done quite a few videos on them and highlighted them. And Tim is an amazing guy. And this is one that's really special to me. And it's right along that line of the yuzu, the citrus. This one also has a little bit of green, a little bit of pine, and some woods in the base. And this one is Elixir de Vie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I love this
Kyle
one.
Made that, right?
Huh?
Is that Kyle's fragrance?
Kyle Mott-Cannonberg's fragrance, right?
I can't remember. I know
he's the perfumer for that one.
I don't specifically remember who made what. I know they had a few perfumers on this line, but I love this one. And also what's nice is in the mid, you've sort of got this like this really nice floral effect. Now the opening is very nice with this, but the dry down is where it really kind of becomes really, really nice. And this one kind of creeped up on me because I wasn't expecting, just from first smell, I was thinking, okay, I feel that. But when you wear it, it really sneaks up on you. So yeah, I think we were right in line with that whole citrus yuzu vibe, you know?
Yeah, we love Tim's brand, and we love Kyle's work as a perfumer.
Yeah.
He's another one of those, smaller brand perfumers out there doing great work.
Yeah. His line, OSM Perfumes, is outstanding. And he's the perfumer for most of Blackcliff. And those are all good, too.
Yeah.
So, he's exceptional.
Yeah, they're really good. And hey, if you guys are interested in checking out Tempus Vitae's line, you guys can head over to my website at fragrantestateofmind.com. And you guys, there's a link right on my website where you can head over to Tempus Vitae and check out their stuff because they're really, really good. All right, so let's hear your next one. I'm curious.
Me? Okay. I'm going to highlight a house it used to be called Sorcellery Apothecary, but now it's called Source, Sorce.
Yeah.
And she's a gourmand queen. She makes amazing gourmand fragrances that, for me, her name's Caitlin. For me, are just very smooth and well executed, and they don't have a lot of that sticky, sweet stuff in them that make my stomach hurt.
Yeah.
Whatever, ethyl maltol or whatever it is that people put in their gourmand perfumes. It's a really nice house. She has very reasonable sample sets, I think. I have...
Tell the people.
I don't know, like 50 of them or something like that.
Bottles.
I have a lot of them.
You have more source than most people have actual fragrances in
That's
general.
accurate. Yeah. That is accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just fell in love with that house. I love the way the perfumes last on me. They smell on me. He loves them.
Mm-hmm.
I think and she's really reasonably priced. And I think she probably perfumes pretty high in naturals.
I think so, for sure.
Based on what it smells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I took my two favorites here, which are for the summer, spring, summer, Assign Painted Peaches, which is just a bunch of nice peach notes, very realistic peach. And this one called Venus and Fleurs, which is a green mango, very humid smelling fragrance. That's just really unique smelling, I think.
Yeah. And again, from the male perspective, it is a female leaning house, I think, although it's still unisex. To me, it's female leaning. But it's one of these houses that, you've got 50 bottles or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I've never smelled a perfume I haven't loved from her.
Yeah.
They're amazing. Yeah, she doesn't miss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think for me, even, I still appreciate, feminine leaning fragrances. I even wear them quite often, especially to bed. Don't ask me why.
Well, I do too.
That's cozy.
My feminine fragrance preference to wear myself is more of the vintage feminines.
Yeah. I like them as well. I think they're more, I hate to use the word challenging, but some of them do get a bit challenging.
They do.
Especially now in modern days. I think back in the day, they were kind of the vibe, but I think nowadays, even the masculine fragrances tend to lean a bit more challenging when you get into the classics.
Yeah.
But I actually picked out a gourmand as well, and this one also leans a bit feminine, but you know what? I really like it, and I enjoy wearing this. Also kind of goes along the lines of a spring vibe. And this one is In Love with Everything.
Nice.
This is Imaginary Authors.
I don't think I've ever smelled that one from them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, this is so nice. And I love the artwork you can see.
Yeah, their bottle and marketing design, all that is great.
It's pretty phenomenal. And this one, if you can't tell from the look of it, also a lot of you are just listening. So this one is Imaginary Author. So this has a vibe of like 80s, right?
Yes.
Like this is an 80s vibe. Now, so they actually list the notes in the back, so you can hear this. So the first note listed is raspberry. And then you've got citrus pulp, coconut palm sugar, Madame Isaac Perrier, which I don't even know what that is, sandalwood, tropical punch, and stardust.
Wow.
So the vibe I get from this is tropical punch. That is exactly what this is. So this one is very highlighted. This really highlights the raspberry, but just comes across as like if you just ever wanted to smell like, remember back in the 80s going to like a school dance and just standing around the punch bowl?
Yeah, I do, because I certainly wasn't on the dance floor. So yes.
Yeah, this is the one you get. This is sort of your wallflower standing by the punch bowl vibe. You know what I mean? But I really enjoy it, and it's gorgeous.
Punch fragrance.
There you go.
Yeah, so this is a really nice one, and like I said, I really love Imaginary Authors and their whole vibe, and of course their aesthetic is pretty awesome. So
yeah, I like the brand too. I've got A City on Fire and Cape Heartache from them, and I love them. Those are both wonderful fragrances.
Yeah, they do a very good job. So that's really cool stuff. So what's your next one?
All right, next is still probably my number one house. You can see these are all the bottles up here. This is Clandestine Laboratories. And I've chosen Silver, which is the first bottle I got along with Pool Boy, which is the most famous from the house now, Pool Boy. This is still probably my favorite. It's signature scent worthy. It's a beautiful minty amber fresh fragrance. It's wearable in every season. It's wearable in every situation. You could dress this up in a tuxedo. You can wear it to the office. You can wear it casually. It's just, I've churned through a whole bunch, and that's a lot in a collection the size of mine. Beautiful. And also, again, part of the joy that I get from this is I first found this house and went, okay, this is interesting, and bought samples of everything he sold. I bought a sample of everything. It was like 19 samples at the time.
Wow.
And then I got an email from the perfumer, Mark Sage, and he said, "Hey, just wanted to say hi. People don't usually order samples of everything." So I thought I'd reach out. And this was earlier in my, exploration and collecting and all of that. And this, not just the amazing perfume, but the interaction is a huge part of what really got me into this deeply. I went, well, how cool is that? That suddenly here I am chatting with the perfumer of this work that I love.
Yeah.
And, he and I have continued to chat and also have actually become like very good friends. He and his lovely lady came and stayed with us. We've become very good friends. And, so again, when I wear his work, not only am I enjoying just the objective reality of the perfume, but it's somebody that I have a relationship with. And to me, that's a really fun thing in perfume.
Yeah. No, it's really like we were talking about earlier, how having a connection with a perfume or with the artist makes it that much more, make you feel like you're connected to the scent,
Absolutely.
opposed to just wearing some, who knows who created it or whatever,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, it's better to be connected to the artist than the brand,
Yeah.
and even cooler when you're connected to both. But so I'm going to pull this one out because this is actually one that really is special to me, because so I was born in New Orleans, okay? And I have a deep-rooted connection with New Orleans. And if anyone's listened to this podcast before or seen many of my videos, I always talk about how I went through Hurricane Katrina back in 2005. And, New Orleans has always sort of had a really special place in my heart. That's where I studied my culinary skills. And I have a ton of family there, and I just absolutely love it. And Bourbon Street especially is a special place for me, predominantly the French Quarter, you know what I mean? That whole vibe, the voodoo, the strip clubs, everything that goes along with it.
Mhm.
Also, when you walk on the street, you sort of get this little hint of pee and vomit that kind of makes it, makes you feel like you're home, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this fragrance actually does not include the pee and vomit, which is nice.
That's nice.
Um,
It's not
but it
secretion
does.
fig.
No, no. But this does give you that sort of like vibe of being in New Orleans, specifically almost like this leathery, spicy, floral, also a little earthy kind of vibe. And this one absolutely nails it. And it's also sort of, I don't know, just gives you this really nice, like wearing this fragrance. It's super wearable and really just kind of makes you feel like you're elevated, like you're on top of the world. You know what I mean? And this is from the House of Hez, which is Hez Parfums.
Figured that's where
And this
you were
one
going.
is,
Yeah.
of course, Bourbon Street, right?
Nice.
And check out this presentation. It's absolutely
amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
stunning.
We got a
And
sample
of
of that, right?
course,
Yeah.
I can straighten this out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the Hez here, and also this cap is very heavy.
Yeah.
Really heavy. I mean, you could almost knock someone out with this thing. And just gorgeous. And also, of course, you can tell it's hand put on because it's a little offset, which is nice. But yeah, I love this stuff. And it really brings you to that place. That's what I love about it. Really, a lot of his scents sort of bring you to that New Orleans vibe.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. I have you smelt this one?
Yeah,
Yes.
we've sampled it. We don't have a bottle of it.
It is absolutely phenomenal. I'm gonna have to talk to Hez, see if he can send you guys a sample, and because this is just absolutely amazing. This is out of all of his scents, which I think I own 8 or 9 of them
Oh,
now.
wow. Do you really?
Yeah.
Cool.
This is absolutely the pinnacle for
Yeah.
me.
I do
And I
do
believe it's
remember
the
really,
first
really
one that
liking it.
I think this is the one that he opened his line with. So this might
Okay.
even be his first one, but it's
My
absolutely phenomenal.
my favorite Hez fragrance is actually the one he did for Tempus Vitae, High Tea.
Yeah. I did a whole thing on high tea, man.
Did
I
you?
love high tea. It is
It's
absolutely the best tea fragrance. You know what it
Yep.
actually reminds me of is you know when you go to a Chinese restaurant and they give you that little sort of metal pitcher of tea?
Yeah.
That's what it smells like to me. Like when you pour it in that little cup and you add a little sugar to it and you take it, like that smell of like whatever tea they're using mixed with a little sugar, that touch of sweetness and that dark tea. That's the vibe I get. It really brings me to that sort of being in a upscale Chinese restaurant, sipping that really nice
it's
tea
really
before
good
your
work.
meal. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, really good. So,
Your turn.
Is it my
yeah,
turn?
let's hear another one.
Okay. Well, another favorite house is another woman-owned brand. This is Zoe. Her fragrance brand is called Cirrus Parfums. She's from
Ooh.
Texas.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
You got wolf hair all over you.
I know. One of the things I love about Zoe's fragrances, much like Caitlin's, much like Source, is that they're very friendly for people who are sensitive to perfume, sensitive to commercial perfume. So she does a lot. She does a wide variety of smells. She's not only gourmand. The two that I picked out are my two favorite. This one's called It's Just Spiced Pears, and it's extremely photorealistic pear fragrance on a chypre base.
So good.
It's outstanding. It lasts really long.
Yeah.
And the other one is Alibi. And I just like this one because it's fresh for spring. Did you ever see there's a bloody knife on that?
No.
I never noticed.
Damn, Zoe. This got serious.
That one's a sort of a fresh, musky, fruity fragrance.
Somebody killed that pineapple.
I'm getting the Alibi reference all of a sudden.
Finally. So beautiful.
We've got to know Zoe a little bit. She's really nice. She does great fragrance content, educational content on her TikTok, I think. And her fragrances, there's just a lot of different ones. I think there's something for everyone in her line.
Agreed. And another house and perfumer that does not make a bad fragrance. Everybody can go to that house and find something that they will fall in love with.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds super cool. I'm gonna have to check that out because I'm always looking into finding new.
I think you'd like her stuff, and she makes a really reasonable discovery set.
Yeah,
like $25 or something.
And her work, again, to my frame of reference, is more firmly unisex than Source, which to me is just a little bit over towards the feminine side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the topic of female perfumers, this is actually the one that I chose. Sorry?
Good segue.
Oh yeah, right. So this is actually from a house called Pink Mahogany. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
No.
Yeah, so I'm going to put you onto something. So Pink Mahogany, the perfumer, her name's Chevalier, and she is an African-American perfumer. And the reason I say that is to point out that this fragrance is actually a sort of nod to her. I'm not sure how many greats there are, but her great, et cetera, grandfather, and his name is Ned E. Williams, and he was a slave, and he was eventually freed, and he went on to form one of the first African-American schools in his part of Texas, and he was an educator, he was a professor, and he ended up running the school, and that school still exists. And she actually worked for the school. And I know her family's super integrated, and I believe they have a museum now that they are opening as well. And I really love her work. She's just an amazing perfumer, and she's doing it all pretty much like it's her and a couple other people, and they're based out of Texas. And I actually did an interview with her early on when I first started doing content, and she's just such a nice lady, and I absolutely love her work. But this one is Ned E. Williams.
Cool.
And I love this bottle. It's kind of got this little round.
Spell the name of the house, Derek.
Pink Mahogany.
Yeah, so it's Pink Mahogany, but actually mahogany has a weird H there, so it's Mahoghany.
Okay.
is the spelling.
Mahogany. Okay.
Yeah. I don't understand why that H is there. She'd probably explain that better than I. And actually, I'm trying to get her on the podcast. She agreed to it. I'm just trying to nail it down a schedule. So hopefully we can have her on soon. But let me explain this fragrance. So this has to be one of the most amazing leather scents I have ever smelled. Okay. So the leather in this is amazing. It's beautiful. It's elevated. It's elegant. But the vibe you get from this is being in an old schoolhouse, right? So imagine leather-bound books. Imagine the wooden floors, the dusty, the dust-covered books on the old wooden shelves, the ink pens. That's the vibe you get with this. It brings you to a schoolhouse. Imagine astute educator, that kind of vibe. And when you smell it, it really brings you right to that place.
Very cool.
And it's super wearable. For me, this is my my guilty pleasure bedtime fragrance. I love it. Yeah, really nice.
Cool.
We're gonna check that house out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm like, oh, sample set.
Yeah, she does amazing work, and she's actually working a lot with building a community. So I know that she has like an email thread where you can join the community and you get you can communicate with other people that follow her brand, and she's big on that. And I think she was actually named Nettie Williams won some kind of award in GQ in the UK. But yeah, I know that was a big thing for her as well. So yeah, she's doing amazing work, and not too many people have heard of her. So I'm glad to be able to talk about her.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So did you guys want to do one more, or?
Sure.
Yeah,
do one more.
Okay. Awesome.
So this is the house of Aromas de Salazar.
So
of course. Coincidentally, and again, for those listening, we did not plan any of this. He did 2 of the perfumes for Tempus Vitae.
Yeah. By the way, I'm going to have him on the podcast as well soon. So.
Oh, excellent! Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, what a cool house. I sampled his early work ages ago and wasn't quite sure how to wrap my head around it. It's like, do I love this? Am I just okay? What do I think? I don't know. And then the next thing you know, I've got, a dozen of his older bottles and a bunch of his newer. I guess I really love his work. He just snuck up and became the third most, prolific perfumer in my collection here with Amouage and Clandestine Laboratories, and then, Aromas de Salazar. I love his story. I didn't realize you had been a chef, Derek. You came from a culinary background, and he comes from that same culinary background, self-trained. A guy who's, oh, nice. Look at that. Chef. Yeah. Self-trained perfumer. And, we haven't talked about this, but it's one of the other things that I love about the indie perfume world, juxtaposed against most of what's happening in the broader niche world of perfume, which is a lot of these self-trained perfumers not falling for the same common tropes over and over again with their perfume, because they weren't trained to do that. They just explored and figured out something brand new. And he's a guy that's done that. His stuff doesn't smell like anybody else's stuff. It's unique. It's strong. It's got intense personality. There's no half measures with his work. It's like he knows what he wants to do, and he's just fully committed to it. And if 3 or 4 people are offended by it, that's fine. 6 or 7 of us are going to fall in love with it. And this one in particular is called "Tobacco Is My Love Language." You won't be able to see that, but he has a whole love language series, which I think is some of his best work, if not his best work. Tobacco, leather, rose, oud, vanilla. They're just really, really stunning work. And then he's got a vintage, so he speaks now to my vintage heart as well. He has it's probably 7, maybe 8.
There are 8.
8 She would know because she's put together all the sample sets. He's got 8 vintage style fragrances that are coming out this summer that I just cannot wait to get bottles of. And another one of these houses. So unlike maybe Source and Cirrus, this is a house that is kind of love or hate for people.
Yeah.
You know, you don't blind buy from him. You get samples. You get his discovery set. And there is a little bit of a love-hate. Some people, it just doesn't work because, again, it's strong, it's brash, it's unapologetic. But for people who love that kind of stuff, boy, it is a serious hidden gem. So
yeah, I love perfumers that are willing to test the limits. You know what I mean, and really do things sometimes that might be challenging to some, but can bring the other people so much joy and closeness to the art, because it's kind of cool to have something that's just easy to wear all the time, kind of dumb reach thing.
right.
But the true art of perfumery, and the reason I think a lot of people get into this is because it's not always about what other people like. It's really about what we enjoy. That being said, so the last one I'm going to talk about is actually kind of one of those dumb reaches that I was just discussing. But this one is I watch a lot of different content online, and there's this guy, I don't know if you've ever seen his stuff, TLTG Reviews.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So he pulled this one out of the bag one day, and I was like, oh man, that sounds amazing. So I went online and I ordered it, and I was not disappointed. And this one is from a house called Scent Journey.
Totally unfamiliar.
And this is a house out of Florida, and this one is called Cocktails and Catamarans.
Oh.
So this one, oh man, this is, and I think you're gonna like this, Jamie. So this is the most realistic, gorgeous pina colada fragrance I have ever smelled in my life.
Neat.
So this is, just imagine the pineapple, the coconut, the creme de coconut, and you've also got this nice, slightly boozy accord that really runs all throughout it. But it's just one of the best summer scents. I love this, and I don't even know what to say about it. I mean, it's such a joy to wear. And the thing is it sucks that it's been sitting all winter because I really want to wear this. And now that it's warming up, I'm super excited to wear this one. And I love this one. And this is the only one that I own from Scent Journey. I really want to delve more into what they do because all of their fragrances sound amazing. But this one I absolutely love. So that's that
looking
one.
it up.
Yeah.
Got another one. Cocktails and Catamarans. That's a great name, too.
Isn't it so good?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the bottle's really nice. It's also, the back has this like frosted glass look.
Nice.
It's just a really nice,
Yeah.
simple but also elegant presentation. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I like to say I'm all about the juice, but that's really not true. I mean, I love looking at stuff as much as I love
Well,
smelling.
obviously, I mean, we wouldn't present them on our shelves if it wasn't
exactly.
for,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
you can get small ones of it too.
Can you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this one's this is a 50 ml, but they're not even that outrageously priced. I think I paid like $140 for this.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
And a 10 ml is
incredibly reasonable. Also, by the way, I have to add this. This actually has really good longevity. For being a freshie, this has insanely good longevity. So this is one of those fresh scents that you can kind of wear and know that it'll be on your skin all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it actually does project solidly well for a good amount of time. But it's just, you can wear that and be confident that people are going to enjoy being around you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming on. This has been awesome. This has been a really cool conversation. Better than I thought it would go, be honest with you. I was a little nervous because I was like, okay. I have to say, so Noah, you kind of do come across a little intimidating sometimes. I wasn't sure how it was going to go.
I've heard that.
And then the other thing too was like in our chat, you're like, we have 1 hour, stick to 1 hour. And I'm like, okay, yes, sir.
That was me. That's just because around this time of night I start yawning because I didn't want to be
I get you.
yawning on the podcast.
No, I get you.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, I was like,
I can just chat with you for 3 hours if that was the case.
No. Yeah. No, I'm so glad this happened because I feel like it opened up a whole door. We made friends, and this is the reason why I do this, because I think a lot of people, or at least some people that watch my content, they kind of get a certain vibe about me, and this kind of allows not only myself to kind of express who I really am and that I'm not just somebody touting, designers and whatever, but it really allows us to open up and express why we do what we do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I love this format, and I'm so glad you guys came on, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here with you, Derek. And we need guys like you. Guys that are in for the right reason. We need you guys too, man. And thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah. Awesome. All right, so listen, everybody. Thank you guys for joining tonight, and definitely check out Jamie and Noah's TikTok, Mr and Mrs Sniff. And I know you guys have a website. You guys want to talk a little bit about that real quick?
Go ahead.
Listen, I'm not stealing your thunder. That was a test, Derek, and I'm not failing.
No doubt.
After you, my dear.
We just launched it yesterday as a place to sell Noah's fragrances. Thank God.
Yeah.
Because I was
finally people can get their hands on them, right?
Yeah. Well, I want people to be able to get them, and I want people to be able to get them in the most easy way possible.
Yeah. And, again, as the sort of like heart and soul of the actual operation, I'm just the mad scientist making a mess, and she's the one that's responsible for then cleaning it up and getting everything organized.
Yeah.
I mean, for 6 months, 8 months, she has been taking orders from like 4 different social media platforms, 5 different messenger apps, email, trying to coordinate the names that people give us when they order the fragrance with their weird screen name from TikTok. Doesn't match the screen name that they also contacted us from on Instagram. And putting it all into a spreadsheet, and it was just like life consuming.
Yeah. You could have worse problems in your life, though. You know what I mean?
I mean, for sure. But another quick thing about the community, Derek. She has been working very hard to get this website up with a friend of ours who just was a follower. She was a follower of our content. We had some casual chats, and she volunteered her time and energy and everything really that you see, the organization, the structure, the beauty, the creativity. She's going to go rescue something from the dog here.
A book.
Everything on that website was done by our friend Amanda, and couldn't have done it. And it was this is one of the things with having wolf dogs. We have 2 wolf dogs, and every now and then they go wild on us.
It's all right. It's just more guests on the podcast, not a problem.
Right. So, again, this was just a member of the community who said, "Oh, I love what you guys do. Yeah, let me help."
Yeah.
And she put together a whole website on Shopify.
And it's a beautiful website. So the website is Polysnifferous.
Yeah.
SNIFFEROUS. Polysnifferous.com.
Okay. I'd throw it up there, but I can't. I don't think I have time to do all that.
That's right.
No. So I'll go ahead and add that in the in the upload tomorrow morning. It's going to go up on my channel, AFSOM on YouTube, as well as the Fragrant Mind Podcast on YouTube. So you guys can stream it there, and I will make sure that I include their website down in the description, as well as their link to their TikTok. And hopefully you guys get a YouTube soon, and I can share that as well.
We do. We have one.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
We have one. We just don't use it as our primary vehicle. So we just transfer things over from TikTok. But we have been asked, and we do have plans to sit down and start doing even longer form content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And would that be under Mr and Mrs Sniff as well?
Yep.
Awesome.
Same handle.
Yeah, so I'll include that as well. So definitely go and subscribe to their YouTube. not only to watch the content that they already have, but hopefully we can convince them to start putting out some longer form stuff, because I think that's what a lot of people, are here for. You know. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much, and
Thank you.
hey, I everyone listening, thank you guys for engaging. The chat has been absolutely blowing up tonight, and I'm so thankful that you guys are engaging and joining us. And if you're just discovering the podcast, we welcome you to the family, and definitely check out all the socials. As I said, follow A Fragrant State of Mind on TikTok, AFSOM on YouTube, the A Fragrant Mind Podcast on YouTube, as well as on Instagram and Spotify. I hope you guys have a great night. Once again, thank you, Jamie and Noah, for joining. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you guys continue to look good, feel good, and smell good. I love you all. And as always, have a fragrant state of mind.
This has been a Fragrant Mind podcast. Be sure to visit afragrantstateofmind.com or subscribe to AFSOM on YouTube. As always, have a fragrant state of mind.